um, spoke about well-designed programs and initiatives, and that's why I'm here this morning to talk to you about one in particular, but also to talk about the initiative that we have going here in Mary Immaculate College. Now, can I just check? Can you see my slides?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, perfectly, Eleanor. You can
Great. Thank you for
resume.
that. Thank you for that. So, Maeve, hop in here at any particular time that you want, because this is a program that I suppose Maeve started a long time ago, and there was COVID and stuff in between. And more recently, then it's a program that we have picked up again. It's called Science for Fun. It is an initiative that involves parents and pre-service teachers. Mary Immaculate College, a very strong college of education. And with Maeve and I, our backgrounds in mathematics, in STEM, in science education, we were kind of pulling it all together and studied and created this program. And I'm here to talk to you about what we learned. In particular, with the more recent iterations of this program, we worked with schools that have a high level of participation from a underrepresented communities in STEM, and in particular the Irish travelling community, which is an ethnic minority group here in Ireland. So this is part of a bigger initiative that was Maeve's brainchild. Probably 5 years ago, was it Maeve, called the Craft Maker Space, and we run a lot of initiatives. Last year in 2020-25, we engaged over 20,000 people, over 500 children in school-based workshops alone, and of our own education students, over 300 pre-service and in-service teacher support. So we're part of this Craft Maker Space initiative, which, as time is going on, we are more and more part, I suppose, of the educational ecosystem in the Midwest. We're based in Limerick, on the Limerick campus, Mary Immaculate College, and work along the Midwest area, but also actually, thankfully, we're getting some requests outside of the area as well to share our knowledge and to engage with schools, with teachers, with community groups, and with these national projects and national organisations like Research Ireland, like Engineers Ireland. So it's a busy role. In particular, for this Science for Fun project, we engaged with 23 pre-service teachers. We engaged with 3 different schools, and that was around 120 children. And we invited the parents of all of the children those 120 children to come in, but just 62 engaged with us for this study. And so this, as you're just going back to the last slide, this particular program sits in the middle of all the other programs that we do. But it was probably one of the greatest that we had parental engagement in. And again, just listening to Maeve there, you would have seen the importance and the challenge of how do you engage parents and into education, and in particular for us, we're interested in STEM education and how that. But we all know that the parents have great insight and great experiences in that. How do we harness that? So, and that's what we tried to do here, and especially with these marginalised communities. So we focused on, as I said, the 3 schools. They are what we call DESH Urban Band 1. So that is a category of school where for various reasons there is extra supports put in. The DEIS is delivering equality of opportunity in schools, and oftentimes these schools are found in areas of economic disadvantage, and possibly, as I said, having minority groups attending, maybe non-native English speakers attending. There's a whole series of criteria to get this DESH status. And in it along come extra supports like homeschool liaison and additional hours and teaching hours and supports for the teachers and the children in that school. I mentioned the Irish traveller community, an Indigenous ethnic minority here, and yeah, definitely underrepresented. Actually, across formal education, their cultural tradition is that education stops around the age of 15, 16. They also have a cultural tradition of traveling, and we have found that from working with the schools that the traveling element starts around now, March, Easter time, St. Patrick's Day. And so the children go traveling with their families and miss school then from March possibly until September, which is a significant loss, I suppose, of their education continuum. So our program kind of wanted to connect formal schooling with home environment, with this group, and all of the children in third class in primary schools. And for this group and others, as we know, STEM is often perceived as inaccessible, disconnected from everyday lived experience, and lacking intergenerational support mechanisms within marginalised groups. So our aims were lofty for this programme. And so again, and working with Maeve was absolutely fantastic. I suppose looking at what's our North Star on this, it was to enrich the science capital of the school community, the wider community, and I suppose to bring that to the attention and lived experiences of the three schools that we worked with, and within that science capital framework, we started by personalising it and talking to the children about maybe I should have mentioned we were eventually talking about electricity and magnetism, so their experiences of the electricity going out because of a storm, and various ways of kind of connecting their previous experiences to the science topics of electricity and magnetism, and then kind of, eliciting, then drawing out from the children, who they knew or what kind of science concepts and that they were familiar with, and then building on that to see themselves as being capable of doing science, understanding science, using science to make decisions on things. And I know Marina's question there was, about measuring it. Really a tricky thing to do, Marina. So I suppose we wanted then to kind of charge up that science capital battery by doing this program, supporting schools. And again, I know it came up at the end of the previous session about just expecting schools to do it all is just not realistic. So this program came in, to support the formal schooling, to work kind of in the kind of, formal scientific learning place, the non-formal, sorry. And we know, of course, we've got informal outreach as well, but we were trying to just push on that science capital battery energy. So, specifically on this model then, so we prepared with the pre-service teachers. We spent time giving them some specific scientific knowledge on electricity, on magnetism. We met them here in our college and worked through the different ideas that and information that needed to be got across. And then on the day that we went to the schools, we met the parents, and actually not all the time was it parents. Sometimes it was a sibling, sometimes it was grannies, who are wonderful. And but it was, some relation of some kind or other. The teachers spent 30 minutes working with the parents on their own, no children involved. And during this time, our students were able to kind of talk to the parents about, how would they go about teaching this concept to the children coming in, and really got the parents to feel, partners in it, co-created, co-leading it, co-own the session that was coming up. When the students and the parents then went to the children's classroom, and so yeah, there was kind of trust to be built up. Our students did not know the parents beforehand, so that there was a challenge there to get to know and to break down barriers that might have existed, between the parents and anyone in education. And so that time was spent actually working on that and building up that trust before they went. So this is kind of the trajectory of it. So they had the preparation time, they talked, and then went to the classes and led groups of 4 to 5 children, all hands on, and station based. And through the stations, the station were designed by Maeve and myself on a spiral approach. So initially, all of the students kind of had a basic, say for electricity, it was about creating circuits and stuff, and kind of why a circuit works and why doesn't a circuit work, all hands on. And then there was added on maybe static electricity activities and other electricity activities. And then the children moved around from one table to another, with the parent and the students staying at the same table all the time. So getting to work on the same piece of content for a few times, a few iterations over the morning. And so with that spiral approach, then after that, there was some kits eventually, when the program was over, that were sent home so that the parent and the child could complete at home and explore even further and take the learning outside of the classroom again and back into the home. So that was the model. As I said, just to give you an idea, so it was simple circuits, it was motors. On the magnetism piece, it was magnetic force, and then attraction, repulsion, all the usual stuff. And the take home kits were based around a motor, really, and most of them were designing and making scribble bots. So we've got our pre-service teacher, we've got our parent, we've got our child, and hopefully then that contributed to the science capital experiences of everyone involved. And that was certainly what we noticed. So on the pre-service perspective, and we wrote a paper with the same title. The parents were brilliant. They really got stuck in, and I could see how much they cared. And that was a quote from one of the pre-service teachers. I suppose our experience here was that it started with the students feeling nervous daunted at the prospect of communicating directly with the parents. And, you know, you can imagine, I suppose these were in third year of their studies, and you know, maybe you know, their experiences of working with parents would have been probably not very much. And but they started in, you know, feeling apprehensive to absolutely moving on to being really comfortable working with the parents, seeing them as knowledgeable assets, a terrible phrase nearly, isn't it? But, you know, seeing them as knowledgeable partners maybe in providing education experiences for their children. And other quotes there, this changed how I think about involving families, and that really was the message of the day, that there was our students were thinking more about, gosh, how do we involve the parents and the families more, and probably hadn't thought about bringing them in from an educational perspective like this. So it was all very positive from the pre-service teacher perspective. The parent outcomes, actually, they grew in confidence. I am learning a lot. I didn't know all the science. I think the parents actually knew more science than they thought they had, and they certainly had a huge amount of lived experiences, especially in these two topics, that they could add to the lessons for the children. They grew, in confidence. They grew in knowledge. They were so proud of themselves, but of being in the classroom with the children, and for the children themselves to see their pride in having their families present in the classroom with other teachers as they saw it. Another quote, it was great to sit with my child and focus on just them. We don't even have time at home to do this. So hopefully, you know, going outside the classroom, this was also valuable for them to do at home. The science, it moved from scary to fun, which was really positive as well. And as part of the science capital, as you all know, you know, the attitudes and kind of the social experience of science. We know from research that the more that's positive and experienced, that kind of the greater that it will be used to impact positively on people's lives. The children, we didn't survey or anything, the children, but just, you know, from our observations, we could see the heightened enthusiasm. Now, hands-on is always good with children anyhow, as you all know, but just heightened enthusiasm by the presence and interest of their parents in the classroom. The parents noticed that the children were thinking, which was really nice, and noticed that the children did want to impress the parents and other children's parents, as you can imagine. And then just seeing science as highly relevant and accessible, because their own family were involved, was really strong as well. That an observation by us. So I am kind of nearing the end. So scaling this has its challenges. As I said, we worked with 23 teachers from third year in our college. There are 450 teachers here, students here in that group. So it is, that would involve, to scale it so that they would all experience this, actually would involve, obviously a lot of schools, and that's something for us to think about. It would be lovely to do it, but obviously it needs a lot of work. However, we have been able to replicate it in things like Minecraft education, and we really would like to grow our involvement in community engaged learning across outside of STEM as well, and that's a growing area for us in our college here, and this programme has certainly informed it. this is still, as I mentioned, is part of our craft maker space ecosystem. It is part of the rest of the programs that we do. I wanted to mention there Regeneron. Maeve had mentioned earlier about industry and our connections with that. And again, so we will be thinking about, how do we engage our pre-service students, families, parents, and that's something we did through Regeneron. So scaling is possible. It needs to be, I think, imaginative, innovative, but thankfully, I think we're set up here with our craft initiative to be able to do that and to support the greater area in it. So I suppose to end, science for fun is not an isolated experiment. It is a pedagogical engine driving a robust, well-oiled machine capable of massive regional scale. And I think I will leave it at that, Louisa. How am I doing for time?
Excellent. Well done. Right on time.